I'd like to invite Janet Lieberman with Keep Roswell Beautiful to come forward and lead us in the pledge. I don't see the chipper here, but she's the closest we've got. Everyone stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And while Janet is here, we'll read a proclamation thanking Keep Roswell Beautiful for once again bringing one for the chipper. Whereas recycling reduces the waste stream, thus saving dollars and improving our environment. And whereas Roswell is committed to reducing the waste stream and encourage citizens to reduce the amount of yard waste material placed curbside. And whereas the Keep Roswell Beautiful program, Kiwanis Club of Historic Roswell, the Keep Georgia Beautiful program, Davey Tree Expert Company, Home Depot, and WXIA Television are sponsoring Bring One for the Chipper Christmas Tree Recycling Program. And whereas this program promotes the recycling of Christmas trees into usable mulch material, which provides Roswell residents, schools, and businesses easy access to drop-off sites and free mulch. And whereas residents who drop off trees may receive seed packets from the Ferry Moore Seed Company. And whereas last year over 8,000 trees were recycled through this program in the city of Roswell. Now therefore I, Jerry Wood, Mayor of Roswell, do hereby proclaim Saturday, January 7th, 2012 as Bring One for the Chipper Day, and invite all of you to bring your Christmas trees to be chipped up and provide mulch to beautify the wonderful city of Roswell. And with that, we'll hear more details from Ms. Chipper.
Ms.
Janet
Chipper.
I have one question, Mayor.
Yes.
Where is the chipper tonight?
We had a scheduling snafu with the chipper, and I know how disappointed you are, Councilman Orland, so I do apologize for that. So, but Mayor, you pretty much gave the details. There are 2 Home Depot locations in Roswell, one on Woodstock Road, one on Holcomb Bridge Road. We will be there from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. on the 7th. We ask that people please not drop their trees off before the 7th, because both of the Home Depot locations in Roswell get overwhelmed with trees, and we actually have the highest number of trees dropped off at a Home Depot in the metro area. So they really like us to try and get people to wait, but doesn't always work. But we're real happy to be doing it again. We have great volunteers. We have about 120 volunteers that come out that day, and we hope to see you all there.
Let's have a hand for the chipper and all those volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'd like to recognize the participants in the Roswell Crime-Free Housing Program. And Chief, you're going to present that? Wonderful group of people here.
Good morning, good evening, Mayor and Council. What we'd like to do tonight is to recognize those persons who have strived to participate in our crime-free housing program. Now, this program has been designed to serve as a bridge between multifamily housing community managers and the police department. With the increased communications that we've had, we're able to seek out to address crime-related problems and improve the quality of life issues within these communities through education as well as in aggressive, organized enforcement. Officer James Pitts is the department's crime-free housing officer. Earlier this year, Councilmember Diamond asked if we could find a way to recognize those communities attempting to participate in the crime-free housing community in a more deliberate way. As a result, we developed a 3-tier program including gold, silver, and bronze recognition. Tonight, we are seeking to recognize 5 multifamily housing communities. 4 are here. The manager of the one could not come because a child is sick. However, each of these have really strived to meet the highest standards for participation in this program. To accomplish this, they must have full participation in the crime-free housing lease addendum that has very strict restrictions on the tenants. Secondly, they have open lines of communications with the police department where they're talking almost on a weekly basis. They must have a minimum of 2 community safety meetings with the crime-free housing office, and they must have ongoing effort to keep their community safe. Tonight we're recognizing 5 complexes for their continued effort to keep their residents and the community safe. And these include Berkshires at Nesbitt Ferry. It's on Nesbitt Ferry Road. Kent Smith is manager. We also have...
Let's have a hand for Kent Smith, Berkshire.
Secondly, we have Walton Centennial, which is on Scott Road near Centennial High. Amanda Queen.
Thank you, Amanda.
Third is the Willio Creek at Roswell. It's Amanda Harrelson. She could not make it tonight. Forest Grove Apartments, which is right down the road, is Grove Place behind the police department. Greg Solheim. Yep.
Thank you, Greg.
And then finally, we have Autumn Ridge Apartments, Marcia Monarchik, and it's on Eves Road near River Eves Elementary School.
Thank you, Marcia.
We would like the mayor and council to come in and have the picture.
Can I get a testimonial from one of these participants as to how this program is working? Who wants to tell us how this works?
Our man right here. My name is Greg Solheim. I'm the owner and manager at the Forest Grove Apartments. Crime-free housing, it gives me an opportunity to call the police and not call 911. I can call James and tell him there's an ongoing problem, and we can work to take care of it. And he's been a big help to me. The whole police department made a big difference on my property, and I really appreciate all the work they've done.
Thank you, Greg.
Right.
And Chief, what are we doing to encourage everyone, all of our apartment complexes to join?
Well, we're reaching out to all the apartment complexes.
How can we encourage them so I don't have to pound them?
Well, we're doing this more public display also, and I'd like James. This is the actual sign that was designed by Julie Breckbill and her staff, as well as all the certificates we did tonight. They did a very excellent job of putting this together and designing it. There'll actually be a metal sign that goes up in the apartment complexes. We're also planning to start posting on our website who are the gold, silver, and bronze recipients, as well as the crime statistics in each complex of who participates in that program. Really pushes it because
what are these crime statistics telling us?
Where all the crime's at. And
so
what we find is
my understanding was when we initiated this program, we saw a drop in crime in these participating communities.
We're continuing to see that drop in crime, and because of the efforts, because the unit in which James is assigned to spends most of their time working on these problems. And if we have residential crime, burglaries, and thefts, quite frankly, we can show in the next few weeks maps and where our activity is occurring is along the Holcomb Bridge corridor, most of which is in apartment complexes.
So if you want a safe neighborhood, these are the neighborhoods to go to.
These are the ones you want to stay in. That's right. And
those neighborhoods that are not participating need to join. So they'll have and my experience was it's not only a safer neighborhood, it's a more profitable neighborhood for the property owner also.
That's exactly
right.
right.
For the city of Roswell, and it takes less of our time. So everyone wins with this program.
It's a win-win approach, and what we're hoping that we can do is start a more collaborative effort between the housing complexes where they share information of who the good tenants are and the bad tenants are.
Well, I want you to encourage them with as many carrots as you can, and if there are any sticks that are available, let me know that too for those other folks, but not the folks that are here tonight.
We'll try to do both.
Thank you, and the council would love to join you to get our photograph taken, and thank you for coming. Let's have one more hand for this group of people.
Oh, yeah? Here we go. 1, 2. You don't go anywhere yet? Okay, good.
I noticed we have a Boy Scout. I didn't see you earlier, young man. We require all the Boy Scouts to come forward and tell us which troop they're with and what they're here for. So we're not picking on you. This is policy. And your name, young man?
Cooper Evanson,
And what troop are you representing here tonight?
226.
And where do y'all meet?
Oh. Bridge to Grace.
All right. And what is the what do we owe the pleasure of your company here tonight?
What?
Why are you here?
For citizenship in the community.
Well, good to have you here. Councilman Orleans was a Life Scout, and I'm an Eagle Scout, and we encourage you to continue with the program. It's a great program, and we always like to see Boy Scouts here at the City Council meeting.
Sir.
Thank you. You're excused. You can go back and you've come on a good night. It's a short meeting, so it's not going to take you too much longer to finish up your citizenship and the merit badge requirements tonight. Good to have you. With that, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilman Orleans.
I would like to move to approve the consent agenda, but I would like the city attorney to read the resolution, item number 3, since the meetings are coming up in January. I just want to make sure we get that resolution out to the public and to the press. So I move for approval of the consent agenda with the attorney reading resolution on item 3.
Thank you. This is approval of a resolution for the City of Roswell to partner with Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections to participate in the voter education and outreach program to educate, register, and increase voter participation. Whereas the City of Roswell values the right to vote as a foundation of our republic, and whereas the City of Roswell encourages every eligible citizen to register and vote and exercise all of their God-given rights, and whereas there are estimated to be over 9,200 persons in Roswell who are eligible to vote who are not registered, and whereas there are estimated to be over 7,800 inactive registered voters in Roswell, and whereas the Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections has committed the year of 2012 to outreach, education, and registration of voters in Fulton County, Georgia, now, therefore, the City of Roswell joins the Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections to educate, register, and increase voter participation in Roswell, Georgia for the year 2012. And if approved, this will be the reading of the resolution.
And with that resolution, the city, we're joining the other cities in North Fulton County in training our receptionists to become voter registrars so that we will, anytime you come to a city hall in North Fulton County, you'll be able to register to vote. Any questions regarding the consent agenda? Councilman Price.
I just wanted to add to that that the first training session is January 5th for anyone interested in becoming a voter registrar.
Do we have a second for that motion? Second by Councilmember Wynn. All in favor of the motion raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll call upon Councilmember Orleans, liaison to the Admin Finance Department, to call the agenda.
First item is approval for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign contracts with OSSI, SunGuard, and Priority Dispatch for the Public Safety Enterprise Resource Planning, better known as ERP program, in a total amount of $850,000, and approval of Budget Amendment 3800-12-19-11, allocating $325,115 of E911 funds for this project. And this is part of our ongoing ERP changeover, transformation. And Mr. Fisher here is to explain it and answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Orleans. As the Councilmember had mentioned, this is kind of the second phase of ERP. As you know, we've been moving along for a little over a year now with the general government side of the ERP process. This is the public safety side that is the next step, and we'll be taking on with the police and fire and the E911, the technology needs from the CAD, from records management, from the jail management system, all of the different things that they do in the public safety side, we can pull together, integrate together so that it's done one time and communicates with the other systems that we have within the city. We're working with SunGuard OSSI, who will be the primary vendor, if you will. They work through Priority Dispatch for some of the software that we'll be buying. So there's 2 contracts, but it's all integrated together, and we'll talk together. And as was mentioned, the total package is $850,000. Contracts will be signed with that amount, and also some contingency. But as I had stated before, we are not putting contingency in the contract. We are holding that out in our own account so that it's our money and we have control over it. And we would recommend approval of those 2 vendors.
Does the council have any questions? Do we have a motion to approve this?
Move for approval.
Motion by Councilman Orleans for approval. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Eichelhart. Does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding this budget amendment? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item ties in with the ordinance we passed last meeting, and this is the approval of a resolution to establish charges related to an ancillary wine, beer, and malt beverage tasting license. And again, Mr. Fisher will describe it, and we have a resolution for this.
We do have the resolution in place. You had passed before for the malt beverage and wine, ancillary wine tasting, and I believe our legal counsel had looked at some other areas and has a resolution to the effect with the fees.
Move for approval.
Motion by Councilman Orleans. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Diamond. Does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding this? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
That's it. We're done.
Rec and Parks. Councilman Eichelhart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only item is the approval of the Recreation, Parks, Historic, and Cultural Affairs Department 5-year strategic plan. And the first thing will be to reduce the size of that name, since nobody's here. But seriously, this was brought forward, and the Recreation Commission had asked me to present this, and it is a 5-year strategic plan. And there has been a great deal of work from the commission, from the staff, and from a consultant, and included a number of things, including public meetings and a public website survey, which we had thousands of responses to. So it's probably one of our more successful public involvement aspects. But it does now have, for those of us who are at the committee meeting, it has both the odd and the even pages in what was in your book. We just had the odd pages the other day. And the important part is that of course the whole thing is important, but the recommendations are at the very back on page 45 and 46, and covers things like acquiring additional parkland, administrative support, facility developments and expansions, trail development, program implementation and maintenance, as well as community involvement. So if there are any questions, we have Morgan Rogers to actually answer those, unless I can handle it. Or if not, I'll move forward to approve the strategic plan.
Does anyone, well, let's ask our Boy Scout. We're going to get some public participation here. Do you live in the city of Roswell? Come forward. Meeting is going way too fast. We need to have a little public participation for this young scout to appreciate. Now, do you ever go to city parks? Turn and ask your father, because you're having trouble with these questions.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're familiar with East Roswell Park.
Yes, sir.
Now, what do you like about East Roswell Park?
The fountain and the tennis courts.
The fountain and the tennis courts. And do you ever participate in any sports there?
Tennis.
Tennis. All right. So any recommendations on how to make that a better park?
No.
You're totally happy with it. That's great. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for coming tonight. All right. Anyone else have any comments from the floor? Councilman Orland.
I was just going to say, since I'm taking over Parks and Rec, if you guys would look at page 47, that's what I'll be asking for next year's budget to cover all our needs that we want. It's only $87 million.
Do we have did we get a motion to approve?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We have a recommendation for closure to discuss acquisition of real estate and personnel. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Nguyen. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Eichelhardt. All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We are adjourned, gentlemen. We have a work session. And what are we going to discuss in work session?
We are going to discuss capital projects and funding once again.
Capital projects and funding once again into the breach.